Hey, welcome
Good
everybody.
evening.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everybody. It is Spin Legal. It is Tuesday night. It is 6 p.m. And Angela is here for your delight.
Yep,
And myself.
Peter and Angela.
Yeah, and myself. I'm here to help you along. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about organizing your business. There we go. And if you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so at 905-688-5598. Email Angela through angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself using peter@weareinvictus.legal, or the website is weareinvictus.legal. All right. So organizing your business. There you go. You see, I spelt it the American way.
Yep. Yeah, because the other one was spelled the Brit way.
That was deliberate. That was not the Brit way. That's the Canadian way.
Yeah. There's something about being British.
Yeah. Organizing
Mm-hmm.
with an S. We say things with S's, not Z's.
I'm waiting to get a Scottish person in here. I think that would be cool.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. So here was the thing. Organizing your business. And let's be honest about it. Probably everybody on the planet thought about it. They've gone, hey, I hate my boss.
Yeah.
I
want to take this job and shove it.
Yeah.
And
then 5 seconds after they said, take this job and shove it, they go, oh my God, I said that?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Boss, can I have my job back, please? Nope, you're gone.
Because when you're working there, you say, oh, how wonderful it would be if I can just work for myself.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people dream of owning their own business.
Well,
Invictus Legal LLP is one such business. We are a private business.
Yeah. Yeah. And running your own business is not always all it's cracked up to be. Yeah. And I'm not going to make complaints or anything like that. I'm just saying there's a lot of steps you've got to think about before you actually start to do that. Right?
Yeah, it's like, you notice people aren't doing certain things, and then you may want to open a market for it. Like, say, nobody's selling Red Hots at 3 o'clock in the morning at the corner of St. Paul and Geneva. So maybe that's what you could do. You set up a hot dog stand at 3 o'clock in the morning. See what happens.
But again, the guy who sells between 6 and 10 o'clock is going to come around with a baseball bat and smash your cart up if he can find you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Come get your Red Hots.
Yeah. He's probably not going to be very appreciative of you setting up a competing business at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Now, if you get any customers or not is another thing.
Well, quite apart from the fact that there's probably no customers. Now, okay, it's true that if you're going to set your hot dog stand up and you set it up right outside the exit point for where everybody's walking out to catch the bus at 3 o'clock in the morning from General Motors, then you might get some business.
Yeah, there used to be something like that.
Especially if the wait for the bus is 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So this is the sort of thing people say, I just have a dream. I could just do my own thing. I think this is going to be great, But there's a lot of thought that goes into your business. We're just going to start today just talking about types of businesses, how to set up your business. Okay, not necessarily how to finance it, how to keep running it, how to employ people, that sort of thing. There's a lot of other complicated issues that sort of come up once you've started your business and you realize you might not have wanted to get into business in the first place.
And hey, the first thing you've got to realize is who's your first employee. Who is the first person you're going to fire? Who's the person you hate most in your life? Who's the person who you rely on most in your life?
And you start saying, I hate my boss when you're working, and then when you're self-employed, I hate my boss again.
That's good.
Yeah.
You can hate your boss all you like, Remember, you're chief cook and bottle washer and everything in between. And by the way, if you don't sell to Joey Jones on Tuesday afternoon, you're not going to eat on Saturday morning, are you?
Nope.
Yeah, it's one of the things.
Lot of modalities, a lot of considerations.
Yeah. And we're only really talking about the legal side of it, but though all of those sort of things you've got to think about before you actually even organize your business. And some of it you think to yourself, well, okay, all I need's a little tiny office in a small office center in downtown wherever, and then you kind of go, well, that won't cost me more than $300, will it? Yeah, $1,200 later. Yeah, you got one room, and you can share coffee with the person at number 14 who always has the coffee, finishes the coffee off before you can get there.
Mm-hmm. It's always things you have to consider, okay? And this is what we can do if we start talking about the practicalities of running a business, from where, how, and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of practicalities and cost to considerations too.
Yeah, and obviously that's the point where we're talking about hanging up your own shingle. It's like, well, what you're doing is you're putting your nice new fantastic logo on here, whatever it is, like that one up there. Your new logo on here, and you're saying to everybody in the world, "Hey, this is me."
It disappeared there for a minute there.
Hey, this is me.
Disappearing business.
Right. But the point being is that until you actually say, hey, this is me, nobody even knows who you are.
Yeah, nobody knows where you are, nobody knows who you are, and nobody cares either.
Yeah.
You got to make sure people care. And that's make it their business as well as yours.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is about hanging up your own shingle, a lot of people, I suppose there's courses on that kind of stuff, right?
There's courses. I help people. I guide people. I'm kind of a coach to help people with businesses and to help organize their businesses. And you have to consider, if you want to go into your own business, why you should and why you should not. Why you should is a good idea, because sometimes people, when you're your own boss, you have your freedom.
But I'm going to make $1 million from this, aren't I, Angela?
Oh, yes, you're going to be a billionaire in 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be a billionaire in 2 years because I can make the best baked beans there are on the planet.
Yep, and you'll be beating Bill Gates and Elon Musk and everything else in no time.
My handshake to them. I'm needing to meet these guys, right?
So these are things where people think that hey, I can make unlimited amounts of money. Think again, okay? But you do have some freedom.
Well,
freedom, for example, being in a workplace, they may have rules around, say, social media. They may have rules over what you can do when you're in your office space. But when you run your own business, you have a little bit more freedom to speak out and to express your individuality.
You expressed it a little while ago in that regard. It's like, well, nobody knows who you are and nobody cares who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So you go up to the people on the street and you say, here's my business card. Have my business card, right?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, look at it. Oh, you do that? Okay, what do I care?
You see a lot of your business cards thrown all over the place.
Now, hopefully somebody else comes along, picks it up off the ground, and goes, oh, this guy does that.
Yep.
I'm putting that one in my pocket because I might need him next month.
Yeah, you might need him in a year or so. So that's
fine.
These are things there. And there might be people setting up properly in this business center on 110 James Street, that you don't know about. And at this point, you don't care about because you don't know who they are or what they are.
Yeah. Because
they haven't come out and reached out and told everybody who they are, what they want to do for you, what they're offering, or anything. So this is what it is. So, but You can be creative. Okay, I want to let everybody know what I do.
Yeah.
Okay? So you could say, okay, I run a legal business. I provide legal services. I do this. The thing about being self-employed, though, is you don't get a weekly paycheck.
Yeah,
Start
but again,
realizing that your mortgage needs to be paid, your bills need to be paid, your car payments need to be paid.
Come on, Angela. I can just do this and sit back.
Yeah, your customers will come to you.
Can't I?
Yeah, your customers will come right to you.
That is unfortunately the situation, is it? But anyway, go on with the show. I'm just going to go to sleep for a while.
So
okay?
basically, that's what it is. When you're employed, you have a job. You're paid 80,000 a year or whatever, and you get paid weekly, the same, roughly the same amount. Predictable stream of income. The problem with being employed, and I think many people are figuring this out now, is that people get unemployed pretty quickly because they decide they're going to have layoffs. Artificial intelligence is taking over your workplace. You're off your job.
And the other thing is that you're 39 and a half and bye-bye.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why people become unemployed.
Yeah.
So this is why some people are deciding to enter into their own business.
Yeah.
Personally, if I want to assess a situation out of the general population, most people are better off being employed by other people. Okay? But there are about 10% of the population that could be self-employed and could run a business and would be comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But you have to be flexible. You have to have the flexibility. You have to have the non-adversity to risk. You need to enjoy doing what you're doing, being able to do change management, being able to pivot, being able to do various things to make sure your business works and make sure your business functions.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things about going out to work and setting your own business up is you can be self-employed.
Yep. You can go out there and say, hey, I'm Peter Giblett. I provide legal services. You don't have to have a specific name for your business.
Yeah.
You could just say, I'm Peter Giblett. I'm out there to provide legal services. Or you can set up a website. I'm a web designer, or whatever it is that you do.
Whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
But again, you have a lot of challenges with that. So, for example, there's advantages and disadvantages to being self-employed. Some of those will be evident because, hey, I make these mugs. They're the best orange mugs there are on the planet.
Looks red.
Pardon me?
Looks red.
It's orange.
Orange?
Orange. It's my orangey red mug.
Yeah,
I make the best ones on the planet. Come to me for these, right?
Yeah.
Well, if nobody wants orange mugs,
or hot dogs,
blue mugs. What?
Hot dogs at 3 in the morning. You can't do that. You have to figure out another strategy.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if everybody on the planet wants orange mugs, I've got another problem. How the hell can I make as many as people want?
Yeah, then you're going to have a production issue.
Yeah. Right. So there's some advantages, and the thing about self-employed is, I guess, that there's you can be rich or you can be poor, can't you?
Yep, and you can be very, very poor.
Yeah,
because some people who are self-employed don't make as much as they would as if they were doing the same thing as an employee.
But the other thing to remember, of course, is that there's advantages insofar as you run your own boss. It's okay. I can open my store. I can open my store from 6 p.m. till 3 a.m. and I will get all the customers I want between 6 p.m. and 3 a.m.
Yeah, you just gotta watch that though, because there was a store down on my street one time. It was open from 11 p.m. till about 4 in the morning. And inside, it looked like they were selling cell phones and the tablets, minor technology, that sort of thing. But my son told me, he said, they're not selling cell phones there.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Yeah.
You got to take a special person to know that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there's advantages, and legally there's advantages and disadvantages to being self-employed.
Yeah.
One of the advantages is basically, oh, you got some money, it can go in your pocket. Basically, you've only got one person to answer to, me. Hey, I made $500. Great, aren't I good? Right?
Yep. Yep. But you also have to answer to your customer.
Yeah.
Okay. As an employee, you answer to a boss, and your boss sometimes, you'd be okay with you, that sort of thing. But if you're self-employed and you're the one who's doing the work, you have to answer to your customer.
Yeah. And if I sell you a mug that spurts a hole in the bottom of it,
yeah.
Well, there we go. The nice hole at the crack at the side there, it broke. It's
not
not going to
be overjoyed.
Yeah, your customer's not going to be overjoyed, especially since the whole thing just fell apart as soon as they left the store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that always happens, doesn't it?
Bothered, and it costs money to run a business too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, depending on what type of business, how you set up, what type of work you're doing, it can cost a lot of money to run a business. So sometimes people have to go for business loans or borrow from people, or just
that actually is probably one of the disadvantages about self-employed. If you've got a perfect credit record as self-employed, your perfect credit record that got you a nice credit card, $15,000 credit limit on your credit card, that might work for you for a little while. But there's no difference between you, the $15,000 that you owe personally on the credit card, and your business.
Yep, you are the same.
Yeah.
Credit card company wants to go after your business, even if you call it Peter's Widgets. Peter's Widgets of St. Catharines or whatever it is. Okay. So they would go after Peter Giblett because Peter Giblett owns it.
Yeah. And basically a self-employed can register a business name.
You have to register the name. You can't just call yourself Peter's Widgets because your name is not Peter's Widgets. I'd like to see your birth certificate to say that.
Yeah, it shows Peter Widget.
Hey, or if you have another type of thing and you haven't registered your business and you're going around claiming to people that you are running this business, it's not a legitimate business. In fact, it's illegal. They could be fined for that.
But again, my name is Peter Widget because you just look down there. You see right there, it says Peter Widget.
Widget. It says Giblett. Giblett. Yeah. Yes, you could register a business name. It could be if you use a name that's anything other than your own name, you have to register a business name.
Yeah.
So Peter wants to run Peter's Widgets, or he wants to run Peter's Legal Services, or Peter's Bookkeeping. It's all has to be registered.
Yeah. And again, when I register a name, it doesn't have to be Peter's Bookkeeping. It could be ABC Bookkeeping.
Yeah, it could be ABC Bookkeeping. I have a bookkeeper. Their name is The Joys of Tax.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know that tax could be so joyful.
Well,
maybe for her.
You do not know tax, Angela. You haven't studied tax. You don't know what joys can be had from tax.
Yeah, or maybe it's joyful for her because she's making money off of people.
But she's probably called Joy.
Yeah, Joy. Yeah, probably Joy.
Okay. So let's move it along. Yeah. Incorporation is the next type of business.
Yeah, this is when you create an entity, a legal entity that's not yourself, that is separated from yourself. It's usually followed by an Inc. or limited, something like that. You can federally incorporate if you're going to be having any intentions to be across Canada or something, or you can provincially incorporate. In some types of businesses, you have to choose. In some types of businesses, but But most incorporations are done in Ontario for an Ontario-based business.
Yeah. And incorporations can be done by one or many directors.
Or even one or many shareholders. It can go up to 50 shareholders for an individual corporation. And the thing is, once it goes beyond 50 shareholders, there are other steps that you might take. And if you need to look at, because these are for private corporations I'm referring to. I'm not referring to public corporations. That's a lot more complex.
Yeah, yeah. And we won't even really get into public corporations here because that's a whole different ballgame entirely. Yeah. That's kind of the next level up once you've done with all of these types of ones that we're talking about.
That's so like Elon Musk or Donald Trump. Or
so incorporation, so basically you and I, because we love these red mugs, we set up Red Mugs Inc., right?
Yeah,
we've got red mugs of every size there are. There's no holes in these red mugs, absolutely guaranteed. No holes in these red mugs, despite what you might see here, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you and I basically become directors of Red Mugs Inc.
Yeah. So right? Peter and I could be a joint owner of the incorporation. And it doesn't have to be a 50-50 in these incorporations.
Yeah. And the interesting
percent, he could be a 70%.
Yeah. The interesting thing is about this is that in order to create Red Mugs Inc., I have to actually have checked the name out, don't I?
Yes, you have to check the name. So you have to do a name search, which is a registered name search in Ontario. You have to order it. And then when you set up your corporation, you have to share the name search, or at least give the certificate number.
And when we come up
website, we'll check it to make sure that you're not running yourself into Red Mugs Inc. and Red Mugs Limited. That's just down the street.
Well, actually, the other question about that is, so you find there's a Red Mug Inc. So the name is very similar to yours.
Yeah.
Or a Red Cup Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, that might well be some reason you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Because if you do something that's too close, the original name, the company that has the original name, can sue you and force you to change your name.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people actually do that, but I heard of it being done.
It can be done, and it's about there's actually there is legal precedent for it, so you can actually get it done, especially since it's called passing off, where you're actually looking as if you're another person. Now, and again, certain things like there was a car dealership down the road from here in St. Catharines, which is called Two Guys Cars, right?
Yep.
If you had, and clearly that's different than two guys in a truck moving company.
Yep.
Right. There's no confusion in a person's mind, even if those two companies were operating in the same city. Nobody would be confused between Two Guys Car Sales and Two Guys in a Truck.
Yeah, because it clearly shows a different industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a moving industry and then there's an auto dealership.
But again, if you were to set up, there are some rules about that. For example, Toys R Us can go chasing people if you were to suddenly set up a business that was Websites R Us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. Some rules about that.
What would happen though, Peter, if somebody set up a company called Minister of Finance Inc.?
It would be fine if it was a disco, I think.
Yeah.
Because it would be, hey guys, did you go to the Ministry of Finance yesterday? It would be cool if it was a nightclub, but hey, right?
Somebody put on Facebook the other day about that he was just wondering if anybody ever thought of setting up a business like that and how checks would just come in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and quite clearly there are rules in relation to the naming, and probably the government would say, not
Yeah,
gonna.
the government will have something to say about that, and they'll make you change your name.
Yeah, yeah.
They have ways of doing it.
But again, for example, there might well be some. If you called a business and you registered a business in Ontario and you called it California Ministry of Finance, you might get away with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Hey, but unless you're advertising it in California, and then they can start sending things.
Yeah, and you get where I'm coming from. There are rules that relate to certain areas. So there is a lot of advantages and disadvantages.
I guess if you set your corporation up in Delaware or something like that, millions of corporations are set up.
Did you hear of the store called Chelsea Girl?
No.
Okay, it's quite a widely used store in Britain. I think they've got stores in America as well, like California and places like that. Well, there was a little store in Chelsea called Chelsea Girl.
Oh yeah,
that'd been around for a long time before Chelsea Girl came out as a big corporation. And they then sued Chelsea Girl, the tiny weeny store, and the judge said, nope, you can't do that because they've been there for longer than you have.
Yep, it's precedence. You register your business today, you're the first person with the name. Tomorrow, if someone tries to register the business, they can't do that.
Yeah,
because you're the first one.
But the challenge you see was that, for example, a California company going into, say, Ontario, that brings their name Chelsea Girl. In fact, the company may not even be called Chelsea Girl, right? There may already be a store called Chelsea Girl here in Ontario, for example, where they bring that name, and that now it's Abercrombie and Fitch's name that for their new stores that they're bringing out. Right. So there could be some issues like that.
Abercrombie and Fitch's. Oh yeah, that's actually a nice name. Wonder who thought of that one.
Abercrombie and Fitch, obviously, right? Okay. So clear. Another thing to note is incorporations have numbered and named. Well, every corporation has a number.
Yep.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The numbers of the corporations I've had several numbers.
Yeah.
But I've always called them something else.
Yeah.
Or you can just call up the numbered corporation, and then you can trade it as something else, particularly if you got several subs or subsidiaries.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and
our landlord here is under a numbered company.
Well, in fact, actually, you can have a numbered company, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Ontario Inc., and it could be hardware floor, the hardware floor store, right? You could also own Tiles R Us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then you could also own garden specialists.
Yeah, because you run it through. There's this type of search you can run it through. Are they known by any other name?
Yeah.
Right? And do they have any other corporation name? So there's ways of knowing, because some people like to operate under these corporations, and underneath there's another corporation and so forth.
Yeah.
And people play these corporation shell games.
Yeah. Okay. Then there's a whole. Okay, so the other question about is the tax rules are different for incorporations.
Yeah, they're more complicated, and you require to spend a fortune at an accountant's office.
Well, actually, in comparison,
$5 a year, Peter. But
in comparison to self-employment, because self-employment costs you $100.
It's easy. It's like doing your own taxes.
Yeah, self-employment, you can do your own taxes. It's quick tax or whatever
whatever you use to do your taxes.
Whatever you use, right?
Yeah.
But in corporation, now the rules are different, because now you've got to get an accountant to do your taxes.
Yeah, and then they can do that. And then, but what happens though, even though you got the accountant who's going to be ridiculously expensive, you're going to be paying less taxes. So instead of paying more taxes to the government, you're paying more money to the accountant.
Yeah. And again, in order to pay for the accountant, now you've got to hand out more business cards.
Yep, you got to keep on going. Keep going, recycle.
And you've got to have a better website, and you know what I mean. Now you've got to employ a marketing person who's going to be your genius for getting all that done.
Yeah, so exactly. So
corporation,
very different. But what's good though is I generally don't tell people to incorporate right off the bat, because if you're just starting your business and you're just mom, pa, whatever, it's probably not good to incorporate until you get beyond, say, the $30,000 or $40,000 mark, where your tax rules will start becoming more beneficial as an incorporated company, because you want to make sure that, like, where you're better off, because as a sole proprietor, there's a lot of things you can write off.
Yeah.
Right? And even working in your home, you can write it off. So there's a lot of things that do it. You use certain square footage in your home, hey, or I store a lot of stuff in my company in my home, and then I work in this room upstairs. So long as it's no more than 25%. If it's more than 25%, both the city and Canada Revenue will question you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving on from incorporations is another type of business, which is a general partnership.
Yeah, that's like me and Peter. Say, for instance, we want to run a cafe. Yeah. So me and Peter dream up this idea of a cafe, and hey, Peter, let's go into partnership. I've got some money to lend you, and you've got some special skills in cooking and marketing, that sort of thing. So you're just blending your skills together and becoming a partnership. So you could call yourself a downtown cafe or whatever you want to call yourself. This is still it's a registered partnership under the business names.
We're calling it the Blue Room Cafe, okay?
Yeah. I actually knew some of the Blue Moon Cafe actually.
Okay.
But it's set up. It's under the Partnerships Act, and these are not incorporated. Okay, so I get fed up with the company. I'm getting bored, so I just walk away. Hey, Peter's by himself. So what happens is the partnership dissolves. Okay.
But I could continue if let's say I own the building where the cafe is, and you get bored by it and you pull out. I could still continue to cook my Blue Cafe delights.
Delicious stuff. You continue to sell it. But it'll be no longer a partnership.
Yeah.
You'll have to reassemble it as a sole proprietorship or some other structure.
Yeah, exactly. And but again, I could also take on another partner.
Yep, or find another partner somewhere.
Yeah,
you can advertise.
I don't need Angela anymore. Bye, Angela. Yep. I'm going to take Joey from over here.
Yep, and then you advertise, get another partner. Said, by the way, we're being sued. And you sign the agreement, everything.
Which, of course, is why Angela left in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I joined a board like that one time. I joined the board, and it looked really stable, a good organization. I joined it. Then I learned they were being sued by Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Well, actually, so there are advantages and disadvantages to partnerships, and kind of that is you hit on one of them. And again, the issue about a partnership is rather like a general partnership is rather like the same as self-employment.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not self-employment for me, it's self-employment for me and self-employment for you.
Yeah, and then if Peter does something and he starts doing something crooked, I'm going to be held liable too, as well as Peter.
Well, and yeah, okay. So if I start stealing from, Joey buys stuff all the time, but I overcharge Joey. Joey's not going to come after me alone. He comes after you as well.
Yep.
Even though you knew nothing about it.
Alleged partner in the business, and then this starts getting carried on. So there is, in a general partnership, both partners are, or if there's more than two partners,
Well,
all of them are all held. They're all collectively punished.
Yeah, they're all there's general and several liability.
Yep. So this is why it's something that people have to be very considerate. They have to consider carefully who they choose as their partner.
Okay.
You can use DeepSeek and other types of things, to find out information about the other person.
And actually, the interesting thing is about this is probably the greatest numbers of partnerships will be general partnerships will probably be two people who might well be husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, or long-term trusting friends that have worked together for many, many years.
Yep, I've had situations where I've had to handle business divorces in general partnerships. Two brothers couldn't stop fighting.
Yeah.
And the whole business was falling apart. So we had to do mediation, get them sorted. Okay. I said, you have to think about the business.
Yeah.
We may not like each other, but we have to talk about the business, what's going to happen to the business. So we worked on that. And that's the type of thing that people have to consider. And if someone wants to buy the other out, that's another option.
And another option to that might well be that, hey, we can't stand each other, but we love the business that we're working in. That's okay. I'm going to work in Hamilton. You can stay in St. Catharines.
Yeah, that often happens too.
So I now open the Hamilton branch, and we go from one success to another. Now we might then bring on Joey, who starts off the Burlington branch.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay. And you need to know also too that if there's something there, it's again, each of the partners, that they own a house or if they own other things outside of the business, that's also ripe for collections and so forth. If there's anything owing and there's judgments.
And so if I run up a massive debt on behalf of the company that then the partnership, the general partnership cannot pay, it's not only my house that's on the line, it's your house that's on the line, Joey's house that's on the line as well.
Yes, and that's when go chop chop.
Okay, so there's clearly some situations where incorporation there's some general better rules for incorporation, because in fact when you're incorporated, it's not your house that's on the line or my house that's on the line, it's the company that's on the line.
Yeah, the company that's on the line, unless any of the people who are part of the corporation commit a tort.
Yeah.
Because there's various torts that could be committed that basically are considered that could breach the corporate veil.
Yeah. But generally speaking, if you haven't committed any issue which breaches the corporate veil, then that keeps it sealed, right?
Yeah. And there's other things too. There are laws, like say, for instance, if the company goes bankrupt and you owe employees wages, they can have a director's order against the director of the company personally. So there's a number of rules that people need to be aware of, because there are risks in any way, so you really need to be educated on the risks when you get into business. Okay? Like, I hope I didn't scare too many people.
Well, but again, generally speaking, with those situations, a lot of people go into that knowing what the risks are in advance, right?
And then there's contracts that could be signed, to help protect you. And
yeah. Well, in fact, actually, so generally speaking, with a partnership, even a general partnership, there has to be a partnership agreement between all the partners in that company.
And there has to be a role, there has to be a definition. Everything has to be put in there about who's responsible for what.
Yeah.
And it has to be clearly spelled out. And in a partnership, there's a lot of things that are involved. It's not like you and I can just wake up one morning and suddenly form a partnership by dawn.
Yeah, it's not. We're not. doing it on a handshake and moving and by, you know, we've made $1 million by lunchtime.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot more involved in that. And actually that whole partnership stuff means that you've got to put partnership agreements into place. And
insurance.
Yeah. And exactly have things like insurance, and that insurance may in fact be something that you consider, because you would put together like a liability insurance to stop you from being sued or something.
There's disability insurance.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of insurance you want to make sure. Like if you want to put lots of insurance on your partner, so that just in case something happens to that partner, so that will protect you, so that you can get someone else and pay somebody else, so the business continues to operate and you don't have to sit there and panic and run around like a chicken with their head cut off. Yeah. So these things are very, very important. When people are considering, there's a lot of different things that are to consider. There's other types of businesses too, other types of partnerships too.
Well, we'll get further on. Okay, so another thing to consider is a professional corporation. A professional corporation is monitored by regulatory bodies in various industries, like the Law Society. Wants to know if you've got a professional corporation like you and I have. If you're an accountant, their professional body wants to know if you're if you're a medical professional. Again, all those organizations will want to know if you're setting up a professional corporation.
Yeah. And these are also, it's strictly used for tax advantages. That's why they're set up. Yeah. And they have very clear rules. And they can't just name them anything. The name has to be approved by the professional body.
Yeah. And it can't say, for example, it can't say the best lawyer, the professional corporation.
Yeah. Or we always win professional corporation.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Law Society won't like it. Or a medical corporation. You can't say, we make you well all the time. Keep you well.
Keep you well, yeah. You could use general terms like wellness,
wellness,
wellness center,
a medical professional corporation,
Yeah, exactly. You could use wellness center, medical professional corporation type thing.
So there's different ways of doing that. It's a way where what it's done is when you're in a doctor's practice, it's a way of the doctor paying themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can earn an income from that. And sometimes they have a bit of something where they do some professional things on the side where they can get their professional corporation paid, because sometimes they might have somebody else that they're training or different things where they're doing professional stuff or they're teaching things, and that's how they get paid. And it saves them a hell of a lot of money on taxes.
Well, and the thing about this, whether it's a professional corporation or an incorporation, the tax rules are fairly similar. Because there are certain things that if you've got an incorporated body, you've got certain tax advantages, and you've got certain protections under the law. It's the same with a professional corporation. Somebody sues the professional corporation, it doesn't mean to say that you personally can lose your house. Yeah,
it just goes into a thing where the professional corporation's resources.
Yeah,
it would be, and you have to be, but then again, be careful. If you're charged for negligence or something like that, that's not going to protect you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to another one here, which is dear to our type of our business. Limited liability partnerships in the legal industry are quite common. They started because partnerships, general partnerships, had problems because well, if a partner left, or the partnership was sued or something, there was nothing to protect like a corporation, there's nothing to protect the directors from the lawsuit.
Yeah, or the remaining partners.
Yeah.
Somebody screws up and then, the whole partnership.
So a limited liability partnership has in place complex arrangements between two or more partners, which can be a corporation in Ontario. Not everywhere, but in Ontario, they can be a corporation.
You can have it as individuals, to become a limited liability corp, or you can put two professional corporations together as limited liability corporation.
Oh, and actually, there's nothing to stop you having a professional, two professional corporations, one Inc. and an individual as a limited liability partnership.
Yeah. Well, in a legal practice, you don't have an Inc.
Yeah,
they don't allow you to incorporate.
But I'm just saying, if the rules permitted that sort of thing,
depending on what you're doing. Yeah. So this is a very types of things. So what's very nice, like if things are happening and then Peter decides that he's going to screw up, and then
I want to go up
liability, and I won't have a problem with it.
I want to go up and make my cups. You see, Angela.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I no longer wish to be part of that company, right? So, but there's rules about how you bring partners in, how partners leave,
and it has to be part of the agreement.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might want to say, okay, there will always only be two partners, which is what we have, because we want to keep everything simple, because we're not trying to stray too far from it. Because if we do start creating other companies or sub companies, other people could lead them, and we work with them, and then we have a 51% interest in them.
Yeah.
So that is just a way of making sure that our interests are protected, while at the same time giving opportunities for other people who may join the company and want to do something entrepreneurial and take some risks themselves.
Okay, so there's something else we need to consider. Sometimes there are people that have got ideas where they rely upon others with similar ideas, and they kind of go, "Oh, that's interesting. What you're doing there. I've been thinking about something very similar to that. Could we work together on it?" Now, this is where you come up with what's called a joint venture. So joint ventures have the concept really that, in fact, there's specific types of, you got a specific purpose agreement. For example, you could have two law firms that enter into a joint venture for marketing, or you could have a law firm and a
class action lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you would be partnering with a private law firm, because of the resources available. Or you can have a developer working with a finance company,
exactly,
help build properties.
Yeah, and it's for a specific purpose. That specific purpose, and let's use the developer. You're building number one Niagara, right? Number one Ontario. Sorry, number one Ontario. So you're building a brand new complex, number one Ontario. So once number one Ontario is finished, you've got 47% of it. I've got 47% of it, and Joey's got 6% of it, right? We walk away, we count our money up, and we say, "Thank you very much. Thank you for the work, Angela. I'm gone."
Yeah, because I've known people like who were clients of mine, who are multimillionaires, who've actually been part of many joint ventures, because they got involved in real estate, they got involved in business and financing, they got involved with angel investments, and it's incredible what some of these people have achieved.
Yeah, and generally speaking, these have been done, for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And as I said, many of them are done on the fly. They may only last a few months, but they can also become something long term, and could be set up as a limited company or corporation, be normally incorporated. But if they're done then, the partners in the joint venture would actually have specific share allotments.
Yeah. And then they have things like there would be a group of companies. Right? Like I was reading a lot on how some of the billionaires they actually have, like there's something called the Pattison Group
Well, yeah,
in Vancouver. It's owned by Jim Pattison. He's a billionaire.
yeah,
So he's got all kinds of things. He started with auto dealerships, and then he got into warehouses, and he got into media.
distribution.
Yeah, so he what he does is he runs one against the other. So he uses one to finance the other. So it just keeps building itself as he develops
Yeah.
it. So that's how he got his success.
And the whole point is that there's a lot of ways to deal with things under business, and not everything requires that you running a mega corporation. Sometimes you actually have to deal with things in a slightly different way. One of the things we haven't talked about here is public companies.
Yeah. And public companies, you have to take a lot of steps. There's the Ontario Securities Commission, which you have to be registered for. And there's a lot of steps you have to take involved in that. And there's public analysis. That means everything about the company's public. The earnings are public, everything.
Me scratching my head is public.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to be buying shares in your company. I want to have a prospectus. I want to know what's going on. I get sent that. There's a CEO of the company. They're responsible to the shareholders. There's a lot of things like that. Those are not as common, but they do exist everywhere. They exist in the Western world. But most of the people who want to get into self-employment or businesses are usually running private companies.
Yeah.
And you can also take a public company and take it back private too.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, a lot of people who run private companies tend to end up, if they go to a public company, it's because they've reached a certain measure of success.
Yeah,
what that measure is not for discussion here.
I've had a client one time who was a private company. Became very wildly successful. And then another company came along and said, "Hey, I like what you do." And they bought them. Right? So now they're part of this other company that's a public. I can't say which one it is because it was a client. But it's very interesting when we look at it and how that works.
Yeah. And so when you think about it, the business world is forever fluctuating, and companies can be purchased and sold.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So if we ever want to ditch Invictus Legal, of course we can go out and sell it.
Right. Well, I want $3 million for my share. Okay.
Yeah. Well, somebody wanted it bad enough. I said, well, they could buy it. Offer the right price. Everybody has a price.
Right. Okay. So it's been fun talking about this. And okay, so just to finish off, if you need to contact Invictus Legal LLP, you can do so on 905-688-5598. You can email Angela using angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself using peter@weareinvictus.legal. And our website is weareinvictus.legal. So there you go. And Angela.
Yeah, and what you heard today on Spin Legal, whether it's on this show or others in the series, is legal information only. It's not legal advice. We give legal information. People want to know, what's the difference between an LLP? What's the difference between a corporation? What's the difference between a partnership? That sort of thing. These are just very general information. There's a lot of details. When Peter and I formed the LLP for our company, it took us a lot of work. It took us over 6 months of putting stuff together, putting work together, and then overseen by a lawyer at the end of it. Everything was done properly.
And getting a name was,
challenge, because like some people think, oh, I'm going to be an LLP, and they advertise themselves as an LLP, and they're not registered as an LLP. That's also not legal.
Yeah. Okay. And that's an interesting thing, is because you can't.
We didn't even announce we were an LLP until after the name was registered and our website was turned over.
And you can't, and the key factor there is that you can't use a name of a business that you are not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, like as I said, Peter's Widgets.
Yeah.
You know.
Red Mug Ink.
Yeah.
That's my firm favorite.
Yeah, Red Mug. Is that the next one we're doing? Is that our next venture?
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, been fun talking to everybody, and I guess it's time for us to go, and we'll be back again in a week's time.
Yep.